Look at his face. Worse than a women's main event. And Makhachev's entering GOAT conversations right now. Undeniable. I'll be the first to say it. Lame pussy, man. I'm sorry. You're a pussy bitch, man.
Like, oh, what you should be doing right now is just appreciating the greatness of Islam Makhachev. Usually we say that with some kind of like memorable triumph. And this fight didn't have that.
Like it was going to be another Islam Makhachev masterclass, certainly after the first 2 rounds. But a funny thing happened in the 3rd and 4th. Machado Garry got his confidence, figured out how to stand and trade with him, was defending takedowns. Islam was pretty much at about 50% throughout. And even when he did take him down, wasn't inflicting much damage. 4th round, going to be very interesting to see how that would score. Now, ultimately, 2 judges gave it 49-46, 1 48-47.
Against a bigger, strong, rangy guy who has good takedown defense, controlled him, shut him down. I don't know if he was in his head, and Ian felt like he had to come out and shake hands in the 5th round or whatever, but, you know, Islam did exactly what he needed to do to win that fight.
Yeah. Hard fight. It's a good fight, good opponent. And now it's no more Anderson Silva, Islam Makhachev record. I like this. January, end of the year, we have to fight.
Maybe even the end of this year.
Yeah, because I'm not like 20-somethings. I'm 34 years old, and I have to fight.
Carlos Prates will be harder just because he will be more willing to engage in combat, meaning that he's not going to try to run. He's going to engage in fighting Islam.
My interest in seeing Michael Morales take on Islam did not exist until now.
Islam Makhachev addressed the strike that caused his injury, saying Garry didn't land as many brutal shots as assumed.
Don't go forward, you know.
Looking ahead, Islam Makhachev hinted at his next matchup, citing both his age and his hunger for tougher challenges.
Double check my nose.
Ian Garry responded himself, admitting the win wasn't his, but insisting he exposed flaws in Islam Makhachev's approach.
It was not my night. Islam, your team, congratulations. You guys did amazing. I have nothing but love and respect for everything you guys have done in this sport. I've said that to you. I'll be back. There's plenty of matchups in this sport, plenty of fun matchups that I'm excited for. We'll be back, and we'll be better than ever. I love you all. Let's go, baby. Ei, meu família no chuta box. Caraca. Nessa luta é muito importante pra mim. Te amo muito. Te amo junto e desculpa. Desculpa pra mim, é problema eu não perder nessa luta. Não tem desculpas. Não tem nada. Eu senti ótimo antes da luta. Eu dançar com minha família aqui, dançar.
Ariel Helwani agreed, pointing to the flat finish and the scores the judges turned in.
And it was looking very early on like it was going to be another Islam Makhachev masterclass, certainly after the first 2 rounds. But a funny thing happened in the 3rd and 4th. Machado Garry got his confidence, figured out how to stand and trade with him, was defending takedowns. Islam was pretty much at about 50% throughout. And even when he did take him down, wasn't inflicting much damage. 4th round, going to be very interesting to see how that would score. Now, ultimately, 2 judges gave it 49-46, 1 48-47. I suspect those judges who gave it 49-46 for Ian had that 4th round for Islam. I vehemently disagree with that.
Conor McGregor broke from that narrative entirely, going after Makhachev directly on social media. He wrote that it was 5 rounds of nothing but hugging and kissing, save for one single kick, calling it boring. McGregor pushed further, arguing that MMA is supposed to be a striking contest where 2 fighters test their stand-up, not a night of constant clinching and stalling. Fans, he said, want 5 rounds of active striking, not ground control, and the Dagestani style leans too heavily on wrestling and holding men down, which he believes drains the entertainment out of the sport. Dillian Danis backed that stance, going even further in his own tweet, calling for a fight with Makhachev himself and framing it as a chance to settle the score once and for all. Guru piled on as well, taking shots at both Dana White's comments and Islam's performance, along with anyone rushing to defend it. Dana White broke down the main event, and his comments read as digs at Gary's flat performance.
I felt like tonight was set up for the upset. I felt like the upset could happen tonight with so much on the line, all the records that Islam has, and he's going to break Anderson Silva's record. There's weight classes for a reason. Ian Garry is a big, rangy, strong guy who has great takedown defense. I mean, if you look at his takedown defense tonight against Islam, it was impressive. I felt like I think that Ian is a talented guy. If he had even an ounce of killer instinct in that 5th round, you know, he had been beating him to the body. Islam's whole, I think, right side was beat up. His face was beat up. You don't come out and hug and shake hands, and that drives me crazy when there's so much at stake.
Dana White struck a different tone, calling it one of Islam's best proof of his GOAT case.
Explosive, he exploded up and got his back, and once he took his back and put the hooks in, that was a wrap. That he's going to ride that out till the round ends.
Yeah. I felt like this.
But, and that's how I felt. But on the Islam side, Islam went out, it's the complete opposite now, against a bigger, strong, rangy guy who has good takedown defense, controlled him, shut him down. I don't know if he was in his head, and Ian felt like he had to come out and shake hands in the 5th round or whatever, but, Islam did exactly what he needed to do to win that fight. Yeah. A big, strong, rangy guy who was doing damn good work. Islam did everything he needed to do to beat this guy. And like I said, there's weight classes for a reason. And tonight's matchup was a perfect example of that.
Carlos Prates has already begun preparing, bringing in wrestlers and grapplers for Islam. Let us know your thoughts below and subscribe for more breakdowns like this. Joe Rogan credited the win, but made clear this wasn't vintage Islam Makhachev, saying he was tested in ways we haven't seen from him in a long time. A difficult fight, even with a comfortable margin on the cards, missing the total control and dominance fans expect from Makhachev. Guru went further on Twitter, calling it the worst possible outcome for a main event, a 48-47 decision over Ian Machado Garry, with nothing beyond a second-round head kick. Garry pinned against the cage, a 5th-round back take with no real damage, and in Guru's words, both fighters' faces telling the real story. Brendan Schaub raised similar doubts about Islam's standing at welterweight, saying the win was clear, but that for the first time in a long time, Makhachev looked human inside the octagon, and that Michael Morales is going to be a real problem for him. Tim Welch, on the other hand, praised the performance and turned his attention instead to what Islam does next.
Islam's plan is. Islam might be like,
Retire.
What's left to do?
what's left to do?
Ben Davis took a more balanced view, crediting both fighters for turning in a genuinely close, competitive fight rather than picking a side. Islam leans toward Carlos Prates as the next opponent, not just for the threat he brings, but because Prates has stayed active. In his words, Shavkat isn't fighting, Prates still is, and Morales is good, but he can't recall the last time Morales fought, so by that measure, Prates is the more deserving option. Prates agreed, sparring verbally at UFC 330 and making clear he expects the title shot before anyone else.
Let's go right now! Right now! December! I'm gonna beat this one, and then I'm gonna fight him. December! I'm gonna fight this one December, and then I'm gonna fight him. April, June. What do you think?
Danny Segura called this underwhelming for a pound-for-pound champion, nowhere near his lightweight dominance.
You gotta think that there's more exciting fights for maybe not more exciting fights for him, because I think there's equal the amount of matchups at 170 in terms of fights that are appealing. However, I do think that in terms of like the product that he puts out there as a fighter, I do think he himself can be a more exciting fighter at 155 just because he can do more. He can do more damage. Like, for example, that head kick that he connected on Garry, he might have knocked somebody out and maybe gone on to submit them, at 155, right? Having, a strength and size advantage in that weight class. So in those terms, that excites me. However, in terms of like just watching a motherfucker just try to push legacy as far as he can and trying to achieve as much as he can and trying to break records as he did, breaking Anderson Silva's 16-5 win streak.
Tim Welch sees it differently, arguing Michael Morales, not Prates, is the tougher matchup for Islam. Danny Segura argued Ian Garry looked the better fighter, but said the outrage aside, this result was predictable.
Out here, but both the main and co-main event I read perfectly. I think this is exactly what I had in mind, and I put that out on my staff picks or MMA Junkie, and that's how it went down. I knew this was going to be somewhat of a close fight. It wasn't going to be an easy fight for Makhachev, but in the end, I thought he was going to win, and I thought he was going to win by decision. I didn't think he was going to be able to submit Ian Machado Garry or finish him with strikes. So more or less what I expected, and not surprised in either direction, really.
Despite the marks left on his face, Islam showed no sign it affected him mentally, visibly elated over his new record. Ariel noted Islam Makhachev kept the belt, but questioned what this win really says.
He is still not a GOAT.
Third round was probably his worst round. Fourth round, clearly two of the judges gave it to him. I don't agree. And then he comes back and he rallies, busted up, and wins the fifth. So I'm not taking anything away from Islam whatsoever. I do think there's a strong case to be made that he is among the greatest of all time. I still think like that was his 7th victory in a title fight, his 6th title defense. A reminder that John Jones had 16 title fight victories. DJ's record is 12 in a row as far as title defenses are concerned. And so while he did surpass Anderson's record, I still think there's a little bit more work to be done. He did tie Khabib's victory record, 29 wins. He does have the loss against Adriano Martins. So these are things that are all adding up. I don't think he is the GOAT per se. I don't even think that matters.
Guru couldn't resist a sarcastic jab, predicting exactly how he expects a fight with Carlos Prates to unfold. Analyst Guru wasn't buying it, tearing into Islam's performance after the win.
On him. I hate it, dude.
Islam Makhachev agreed with Dana, noting there was little real animosity from Gary's side.
Bro, honestly, I don't understand, man. This is the fight. This is not something we have to like hug each other every round, you know. We're going to war to broke the face, to broke the eye, you know. That's why I respect all my opponents. But Jan, I don't know, he respect too much.
Carlos Prates looked just as unimpressed. The size gap had been debated for weeks, but the cage settled who was bigger.
See how Islam Makhachev was outsized. Probably not really on the scale. I bet you both of them walked in there I bet you Islam walked in there 192, 193. I bet you Ian Garry was 196, maybe a little over 200.
Luke Thomas credited Islam Makhachev for the milestones, but still called this an unsatisfying win.
Right? So the fight kind of played out under the basic expectations of what most of us were looking for here, to be quite honest with you. It wasn't very, very surprising in that sense. And I don't know how you guys feel about this fight. Do you feel like you were let down by it? Did you feel a little bored by it? Certainly the co-main event was deeply unimpressive. Maybe you feel like you didn't get your entertainment's worth, but I feel like for me, the standard of excellence that Islam Makhachev routinely sets is he is one of the best fighters I've just ever seen. He is one of the most, if not the most complete fighter at an elite level.
Luke went further, calling this grind the Dagestani staple expected all along.
So in some ways, the fight is maybe a bit of a letdown, both on the action side, which to a degree should have been expected, and also because it seemed somewhat anticlimactic. And I do think Islam stalled a bit in this fight, and I definitely think he parked the bus in the 5th, which, by the way, he did park the bus a little bit in one of the rounds in the first Volk fight when he got the control of the back as well. So this is not something that we're